born in Jacksonville, Florida at Jack's Navy base. He was a Navy baby in 1985. And when he was born, his mom noticed that he was eating and just wasn't gaining weight. And she's like, what the heck, you know? So she went to the Navy base, which is where her doctor was, and they just blew her off. So she's like, no, something's wrong with my child. I need you guys to look into it more. So they kind of used Nick as a guinea pig, would you say? Because nobody at the Navy base had ever heard of cystic fibrosis in 1985. And so his mom was like, I want my son to be treated, by a specialist because these people are kind of using him as a guinea pig. Her and Nick's dad had to actually go to the library and look up what this is so that they knew what they were working with, and they actually educated the staff. Well, it got to a point where Nick's mom said, enough of this, I want you to be treated by a specialist. So they took him to Dr. Kelly, who, from what I understand, is like the most amazing CF doctor ever, Nick says. So they started going to Dr. Kelly, and Dr. Kelly treated Nick, and then he went to Wolfson's and or Nemours, and then started getting treated at Wolfson's when he got hospitalized. Nick, he is, to me, I want to brag on him, the most amazing person. The things that he has to go through, he goes through about 3 to 4 hours of breathing treatments. How many of you have asthma? Yeah, so you guys know about the breathing treatment. So he has to do three different times a day he has to do breathing treatments. It's not fun, is it? No, it's horrible. So he does the 3 to 4 hours of breathing treatments every day. Then he has the air clearance, and then keeping up his weight, and then he has to lug this horrible, ugly oxygen tank around. And it is no fun. It's heavy. When we go out places, we have to carry 3, 4 of these big oxygen tanks just to make sure that Nick doesn't run out of oxygen, because if he runs out of oxygen, he can't breathe. So just think about that when you guys have stuff toting around and it's cute. Imagine having to carry this big thing around. So, let's see. We both went to school at West Nassau. Does anyone know where that is? West Nassau? Yep, so we both went to school at West Nassau. And let's see. Oh, some funny stories when Nick was little. Nick was about 4 or 5, would you say, when you started dumping out your meds? Yeah? Well, probably about 6 or 7. So Nick's mom, these medicines that Nick takes, like his pills that he has to take with every meal is 3 to, how much is it, each pill? Like $4 to $5 a pill. When I picked up his prescription, just one of his breathing treatments can get to $8,000. $8,000 for one. So it's quite a bit. So Nick, when he was little, decided he was going to dump out all his meds down the drain. So here his mom comes around the corner, and he's sitting up on the counter dumping all this $8,000 medications down the drain because he didn't want to have to do them. They're such a pain in the butt. His mom and dad always kept him very active in sports. They didn't treat Nick any different than any other child, even though he was slightly different. He played baseball and for years and played shortstop, right, Haley? Shortstop. And from what I hear, he was pretty good. So it's amazing to think where Nick could have gone with that had he not been able with cystic fibrosis. But so let's see. Okay, this is how we met. This is a really funny story. We met in middle school, and I was so in love with Nick. He was hot stuff in middle school. And so Mr. Nick, he didn't really like me that much. He used to call me names and make fun of me and stuff, and I was like, gosh, that kind of stinks. So I was like, whatever. I don't want to date him, whatever. So then we got into high school, and we lived in a small town. We lived in Callahan, so we had a lot of the same friends. So we get into high school, and 9th grade year goes by, 10th grade year where I tried rekindling what I thought we might have had, and that didn't work out either. So come around our 11th grade year, no, just nothing. Our senior year. So we had this routine. All of our friends used to go to McDonald's every Wednesday for lunch for their, 59-cent cheeseburgers. And so we used to go there all the time. And so one day I made a slick move, and I was like, I'm going to ride in Nick's truck with Nick. And I just jumped in. I didn't care what he said. So I jumped in with Nick, and then next thing I know, we're going to homecoming on a date. And I was like, yes, it finally paid off. And all my hard work finally paid off. Keep that in mind, ladies. So we went on a date, and our first date was we went to Zaxby's. I guess I'll date. We went to Zaxby's, and we went to our homecoming game, and we went to see the movie Elf. Who does not love the movie Elf? Yes. So we loved it. So every year we watched that, kind of as I don't know, we just always watch it. So we started dating almost to the end of, or probably about the middle of our senior year. And everything was great, and it was just like from there, we just kind of knew. And so we started dating in 2004, and then we had been dating, how long? A couple years. 4 years. And Nick, one day I come home from work, and he used to always play around like, oh, will you marry me? Will you marry me? I'm like, whatever, he's just playing, right? Because he always used to play around like that. So one day I come home from work, and I was craving toast. Weird, I know. So I was craving toast, so I decided to put some toast in the microwave, in the toaster oven. And I go in the room, and Nick's got like dinner in our room, because at the time we lived with his parents. And so dinner in the room, and got down on one knee and was like, will you marry me? No ring or nothing. And I was like, whatever, Nick, get up. My toast is burning. Please get up. Quit acting like a fool. And so, sure enough, he whipped out a ring, and I was like, come on, I know this is bad, but you couldn't think of nothing cooler than this? So I mess with him all the time, because all of our friends have like these amazing stories, but it was sweet, and it meant everything to me. So I, of course, said yes. So we decided to be engaged for a year. We were engaged for a year, just enjoyed each other, got our own place. And then we decided to start planning the wedding, which was a year-long process. We got married in November of 2004, so we have our, what year? Let's see if he remembers. Anniversary. No, what year? How long? So, it's our 8th. No. What is it? Okay, so our 4-year wedding anniversary coming up. So 5-year anniversary coming up. We're just as bad as each other. So, but we've been together 9 years, which for a young couple, that's an awesome thing. I take pride in that. You just got to stick it out. I kind of skipped a part of our story. Nick and I have been dating. How I found out that Nick had CF. Nick and I had been dating for 6 months. I had no idea what was wrong with Nick. I didn't know anything was wrong with him. So I started, weird things started happening. I don't want to embarrass you, but he had the worst gas ever. I mean, it was unbearable. Y'all don't even understand. And I was like, this is kind of weird. He's tooting in front of me. God, this is just messed up. And so then we would go on dates, and he would get the worst stomach aches. And I'm like, do I make him that nervous? I was like, heck yeah, I think I'm nervous. Then one day we were walking into the store, and he spit a goober, and it was the ugliest thing I had ever seen. You guys don't even understand. It was this big. It was green and thick, and it was just, everything about it was so disgusting. I'm like, that is not normal. So, and then I found pills in his truck, and I'm like, whoa, I'm so not into that kind of, I'm not, what is this? And he blew it off and said they were his cousins, and he left them in his truck. Weird, I thought. So then Nick missed 2 weeks of school, and I'm like, how does he get away with that? I missed one day, and they're calling my house, talking to my mom. I'm like, what's going on here? So one day I was walking through the office, and the school secretary was like, hey, how's Nick doing? Is he out of the hospital yet? And I'm like, are you talking to me? Out of the hospital? Nick's not in the hospital. And she realized I didn't know, and she was like, oh, okay. So then I knew something was up. I'm like, something is going on here. I need to figure this out. So we're at lunch one day, and I'm like, Nick, you got to tell me. Something's going on. You need to tell me. We've been together 6 months. When you're in high school, 6 months seems like a long time, doesn't it? Yeah, it's an accomplishment to get past that 3-month mark, right? So, so, uh, so I talked to him at lunch and was like, listen, something's going on. He's like, I don't want to say anything. I'm like, no, you're going to say something. You're going to tell me. So, he told me I have cystic fibrosis. And I, of course, was like, okay, whatever. It's no big deal. I still love you. I'm still going to be with you. I'm not going to break up with you because of something like that. Well, little did I know what cystic fibrosis was. So the next period that I had was I'm losing my train of thought. Was like an internet class, and I Googled cystic fibrosis. Well, that's the worst thing to ever do. Because if you've ever done like WebMed, it gives you like the worst thing. Like you automatically have a sneeze and you have cancer. Like, so it was terrifying. It was terrifying. It was, the life expectancy is only to 24. You might not be able to have children. Like just all kinds of just horrible things. And I, of course, in the middle of my class, and like, crying my eyeballs out. But you know what? I went home and I said, I don't care. I love this person, and in high school, sometimes you think you love someone and it really doesn't end up working out, but I knew. When you have that feeling, you just have that feeling, and you know. And so I just made that decision from that moment on. I was going to learn everything I possibly could about cystic fibrosis. So I was at every one of his doctor's appointments, and here I am. I'm only 17 years old. That's a lot for a 17-year-old to take on. But when you know you care about someone, you're willing to do whatever it takes. So went to every one of his doctor's appointments, and went over to his house one night. And I had been over his house a million times. Got over there, and all this stuff was here, like this medicine everywhere here, like this weird-looking contraption of a vest over here. I'm like, where did all this stuff come from? And his mom and dad had been hiding it for Nick. Because as a parent, I guess you want your child to make their own decision as to when they want to tell you that, because it is a life changer for a relationship. So his mom, I was like, dang, they've been hiding it from me all this time. So then I had to tell my parents what was wrong with my boyfriend. I had to tell them my mom's a smoker. I had to tell them why he couldn't come in the house. They thought it was the weirdest thing. Why is he being so weird? Why can't he come in the house? Well, this is why. And as a dad, my dad wanted nothing to do with it, because he didn't know what the future held for our relationship. So as a father, you're protective of your child, so you want their child, you want to know what their future is going to be like. And so he was very unsure of it and really didn't want us to be together, but I didn't care. You know how we are with our parents. I was like, whatever, I'm still going to date him. So I did, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It really was. Nick he just turned my life upside down. You think you know everything at 17 years old, and then you meet someone like this, I'm not going to cry. And then you meet someone like this, and it completely changed you. Everything is just completely different from then on. So, now that I skipped that part of the story, we're going to go back to the now. So, 2 years ago, actually about 3 years ago, Nick got really sick. I mean, the sickest I had ever seen him. And it wasn't pretty. And so he went to the hospital for about 3 weeks and was on IV meds for 3 weeks. He had lost a lot of weight. His lung function dropped. When we were dating, Nick was always able to do whatever he wanted. We played football in the yard. We wrestled with each other. We did everything together. And so when that happened, it was completely heartbreaking to see this guy that I care about go from being able to do whatever he wants to bedridden. It was the hardest thing I had ever done. So the doctors came in and they said, Mr. Brown, you're at this point in your life where we think you need to be listed for a double lung transplant. And Nick's like, when you have CF, it's just, it's coming, but you're never ready for it. So Nick was only 23 when that happened. And so he's like, here I am, I'm only 23. Normal 23-year-olds don't have to go through stuff like this. He's like, you know what, I'm not ready for this. This is not going to happen now. He's like, give me 4 months, and then we'll talk about a transplant.